Treasury is not a silo in a company. We have fingers in many different departments, and we need to be able to communicate and work with the rest of the teams to get our job done and to help, meet the company's goal. And there's a lot of worth in having good network in your company where you can rely on people, you can bounce ideas off people, and you can just work together as a cohesive team in your company. And there have also been so many people, treasury mentors and coaches, who've really helped shape my desire to be a treasurer over the years and have helped me through those stages in my career where I've needed advice to move forward or to think of something else to study and add to my education.
Before we start, I want to highlight the biggest challenge I've noticed in the Treasury industry. It's professionals finding it tough to build an impactful brand. That's exactly why I put together an ebook, Building and Managing an Impactful Professional Brand. It has helped over 100 professionals define their unique values and stand out in their careers. In this ebook, you'll find practical tips to build a strong network and sharpen the skills you need to succeed in this industry. And the best part? It's completely free. Grab your copy now by clicking the link in the description below. Welcome to this week's episode of the Treasury Truth or Dare podcast, where we challenge Treasury leaders with the ultimate choice, truth or dare. Today, I'm honored to welcome Lee Ann Perkins, a seasoned Treasury professional with over 21 years of experience in the field. Lee Ann currently serves as the Assistant Treasurer at Ankura, and her expertise and strategic insights have made her a prominent voice in the world of Treasury. Lee Ann's journey into Treasury is as unique as her approach. From her early days discovering the field to becoming a thought leader and advocate for Treasury innovation in the Treasury profession, she is constantly pushing boundaries. In today's episode, she'll be tackling topics like the transformative power of AI in Treasury operation, the strategic role of Treasury professionals, and how networking can be a game changer in any Treasury career. In our Truth or Dare rounds, Lee Ann will decide whether to reveal her Treasury truths or take on a daring challenge live. And as always, after round 5, she'll get to turn the tables on yours truly and get me to do a dare, again, live on the podcast. Stay tuned as Lee Ann makes her first choice, setting a tone for what promises to be a Treasury-packed session filled with insights, laughter, and, as always, a few surprises. Hello, everyone. This is Ernie. I'm your host for the Treasury Truth or Dare podcast. Honored and humbled to have on my episode today Lee Ann Perkins. She's the Assistant Treasurer at Ankura. Lee Ann, welcome to the webinar. Why don't you give us a little bit about your background before we dive in today?
Yeah, good morning. Happy Monday. And thanks so much for having me. You know, I love talking Treasury and I love talking to you. And I specifically like things that are fun and humorous and enjoyable. So thank you for having this podcast because it's definitely something very different.
All right. Thank you very much, Lee Ann. A little bit for our viewers who may not have had the pleasure of experience the Treasury Truth or Dare podcast yet. What we do on our podcast is we have several rounds of Truth or Dare where I ask my guests if they would like to share a Treasury truth or take a dare. And then after about 4 or 5 rounds, I let them ask me a dare, switch the table a little bit. So to me, I'm going to go ahead and we'll get started with our first round with Lee Ann here. Would you like to start with a truth or a dare?
I'm going to go truth first.
All right. Okay. Here's a question that comes to my mind. Where should AI have the most impacts in the arena of Treasury operations in the coming year?
I propose that AI for Treasury is the great equalizer. I think this is where Treasury starts to come into its own. We are, as I'm sure all your listeners know and have experienced, are often a small, under-resourced department. And with the use of this great invention of AI, this is how we can now help ourselves and transform our Treasury operations to improve efficiencies and accuracy with the use of AI tools. And, you know, the reason I think this is because we can't solve the problems we have now with the same thinking we used when we created them. So AI is something that's new. It's not that new, but it's new into our Treasury field, and it's something that's going to make a huge impact in our life. And there's many ways. We've all heard so many webinars and we've been to conferences that show that forecasting, fraud monitoring, and strategic decision making, that's where there's great use cases and impacts already. I believe there's also other areas that are a little bit more creative that are coming at us and are going to be in the operations sphere soon. I think that revolves around payment processing. If you use AI in this area, you can really streamline your payment workflows. You can have faster and error-free payment processing, and it can really just improve those key payment functions, which we know is integral to Treasury. What I think, too, is one day we're going to have a day zero close. I'm really hoping this is soon, because there's so many ways that AI can just help in the operations area, and I think one area here is the way it can do the most cost-effective and fastest routing for cross-border payments. And so when we have a day zero close, we don't have to worry about next day payments, accruing for them and just worrying whether the money came in or whether it went out in the correct timing. I think that's an area of improvement. And then also our favorite part of Treasury, just kidding, is compliance and regulatory reporting. There's so many ways that AI can help on this operational side for automated compliance checking, for ensuring that we have the regulatory requirements updated. As we know, every country is different, every bank has a different requirement, and they update them pretty often. And AI will be able to help, automate that and create the rules in a dynamic way that'll help us be compliant. And then there's also that integrated user experience. I'm really looking forward to that, where we have chatbots that are actually in existence. They're working day to day in the Treasury Department. They can give the users the answers they're looking for in quick succession. Questions like, what is the bank account number? Can I pay certain currency into this account? What's the address of the bank? Just general questions that bog down the Treasury operations field. And I think that's a really strong area for a use case. And then we also just know that, with AI or any other Treasury technology that we implement, we're going to have challenges. There's going to be regulatory considerations, data quality, integration with legacy systems, I think will be a big one. So all of these need to be addressed for successful adoption, but I still believe that AI has immense potential in Treasury, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, outstanding. A couple of things that really stood out, which I never really thought about it that way, is that and oftentimes Treasury operations impacts other departments. So we're being more of a strategic partner, like you said, with accounting. If we get those GL numbers closed, a lot of time, at least from my background, accounting was reconciling bank accounts to the ERP system, so it can help us be a more strategic partner. But I also love that you talk about the risk management piece, which I don't think is talked about enough. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right.
And on
No,
that
go ahead.
note,
Yep.
too, sorry,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say about risk management,
Yep.
is that area that doesn't respect operational boundaries. So it's everyone's job in the company to ensure they are managing the risk. And Treasury is one of the integral areas that is responsible for financial risk. And if we can do that well and we can do it timely and we can do it for our greater companies, it's another way to be a good strategic partner to the company.
Yeah, I agree. Talk about like payment risk and payment risk exposures and how we create those and how processes create those, but also as we start going into new countries, there's different types of payment risk and counterparty risk. So we need to, that's our place to keep the eye on the ball and not just expect somebody else to keep the eye on the ball there. All right, round two. Are we going to go truth or dare?
Let's go dare this time.
All right. Share with us what's something that very few people know about you.
Well, this is not that amazing, but I have an absolutely uncanny knack of finding money on the street in just about every country or state that I travel to. And I've been doing this since I was a child. I'll get out the door and there'll be, note lying on the floor and nobody else has seen it. It'll just be, I happen to spot it and pick it up. It happened to me yesterday again. It happened when I was in Eurofinance in Copenhagen. I just saw money on the ground and I don't even have great eyesight. It's not because I have 20 vision. I mean, I'm always losing my keys or my glasses, but man, if there is 1 cent on the ground, I'm going to find it. So I just think it's just that way of nature saying, hey, you need to be in treasury and in cash management because this is your skill set.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, that just speaks to your greatness as a treasury professional. So I'm gonna be a little cheesy here. It's like you can find the gold in treasury. I think I used that in the past.
Love it.
So,
There
so
you
you
go.
always know how to find that value, right?
Yeah,
You know how to hone in on the value of treasury and create that value for your
love it.
organization. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that with us. Okay, we're gonna go for round three. We're gonna go back to truth, or we're gonna do another dare.
Let's do day.
Okay. Let's see. I like to talk about this because this one, just for you, I'll tee it up, is I've been very impressed with how Lee Ann has built her brand in this area. So I wanted to share a little bit. How is investing in networking within your department, company, and your treasury peers, how has that impacted your career and your passion for treasury?
I believe that if it wasn't for my great networking that I've had over the years, I wouldn't be in the profession that I'm in. I have a saying that probably everyone who listens to my podcast knows. It's my network is my net worth. And there have been so many people who have come beside me to teach me, to help me, to guide me, and also to encourage me. There have been some tough times in my treasury career. But we all know, as we spoke about earlier, that treasury is not a silo in a company. We have fingers in many different departments, and we need to be able to communicate and work with the rest of the teams to get our job done and to help, meet the company's goal. And there's a lot of worth in having good network in your company where you can rely on people, you can bounce ideas off people, and you can just work together as a cohesive team in your company. And there have also been so many people, treasury mentors and coaches, who've really helped shape my desire to be a treasurer over the years and have helped me through those stages in my career where I've needed advice to move forward or to think of something else to study and add to my education. And that's where I am right now in my career. I have about 21 years of treasury experience. And I'm at the stage where I really have been working hard to be an advocate for the Treasury Department. I want to be a mentor and a coach for those who are coming up behind me and beside me, who are looking to grow their Treasury careers and just looking for advice on Treasury as a career in general. And I just believe that this is still the best part of my job has been the networks and the groups of people that I've met over the years. And I think that's why I love Treasury so much. It is not a silo. You don't work as one department. You get to learn about the business. You get to have great conversations with your bankers and your regulators, your investors. And I always believe that Treasury is a interfacing, an external facing department, and we have to have skills to manage those two areas to ensure we can do the best we can in our treasury department for our companies.
Yeah, that's amazing. So one of the couple of things that it really stood out to me, I guess I'll first focus on one, which I really love. We're both advocates for the treasury profession, but I think the way you put it was that a lot of us we are supportive by nature. So treasury is a profession where you will be supported, you will network, we all support each other, right? So we might be introverted, but we
Right.
all look for success. And people in the podcasts I've had so far, they tell me their greatest passion is giving back to the profession. So it's like people like you and I, it's like, how do we get everybody to get that and share what they do so the younger people say, wow, this is really cool. It's fun to do, but there's also great people that we can meet that will help pull us up in our career.
Yeah, and we do that with, people like yourself who create these great webinars and podcasts to get the word out. Because it's one thing to just listen to, treasury practitioners talk, but it's another thing to have the industry come around us and highlight what we do as a department. So it's also people like you who help to lift us up.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are on to round 4. What about truth or dare?
That's good truth.
Okay. I just want to kind of follow up, and you gave us some examples, so let's dovetail on that a little bit. What else can people like myself and you, what do you think we can do better to support those newer to the profession and get it away from treasurer this? We want to talk to treasurers and we want to talk to how do we help people become a treasurer instead of you're a treasurer, you're cool. Do you have any thoughts on that?
That's such a great question, because I think this is really the crux of why people don't really know much about the Treasury Department. And I joke all the time that, people think we just have a love for banking and therefore that's what Treasury does. But it's really building awareness about the treasurer's role. And you have to start by demystifying the role. What is Treasury? What do we do? How do we help a company? And what do you do to become a treasurer? And I did not come into my career even knowing what Treasury was. And I'm sure you've had for yourself or for guests on your podcast heard this often, that people have had different careers before they've fallen into Treasury. Nobody really knew what it was. We were just had an undergrad in finance or accounting, and somebody came to us and said, hey, here's a job in Treasury. I need you to do this. And that happened to me, and I was one of the lucky ones who absolutely loved what the Treasury job was when I first started and was able to build on it, again, because of great bosses and coaches and mentors. But it's really about demystifying and putting a spotlight on what the career actually is. Because if you go into a career and you don't know where your ending point is and what you can do with this career, why would you go into it? You want to know that you have a career path. And the only way you really know that in a function like Treasury that's as new as it is to have a spotlight on it and for others to tell you how their career journeys have been, what type of skills you need to emphasize, and what type of experience you need to succeed in this role. And then I think it also comes from early exposure, because, this is where we need to do better as Treasury professionals, and the Treasury function as a whole is to raise the bar. We need to partner with universities. We need to partner with professionals who are getting the word out, with organizations that can introduce Treasury as a career path to students and help them, make that leap into Treasury and then start to get exposure and start to build their careers as they move on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much. I mean, even myself, I didn't know what Treasury was, and I knew I wanted to be in finance, and I did golf outings, and the CFO finally pulled me up his office. I said, okay, do you want to work in finance?
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, you can work in Treasury. And I was like, I thought, what am I going to do? I don't even know what that is, but okie dokie. So, it all takes off from there. Once we can get people to dip their toe in the water, unless you're a huge company, sometimes they're like, oh, I want to work in Treasury. So you don't see them post jobs. But the other folks, it's like, once they kind of dip their toe in there, they realize that they're very lucky to have found the path.
Yeah. And, going back to what you said about working in a very big company is, not everyone gets that opportunity, and not all of us work in large companies, but Treasury is also that area where you can advocate for leadership development. You have to teach your Treasury teammates coming up and give them sessions to help them on boardroom readiness and helping them to manage cross-functional teams and to do strategic financial planning for the company. And it really is those people who come from either experience in big companies or who have, through their studies, been able to understand there is a role for the treasurer in the boardroom. And this is where I think we also don't do the best job as a Treasury profession in letting people know there doesn't have to be a ceiling on the Treasury profession. There is more to it, and we just need to get the word out.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll kind of turn the tables on the host here. So I'll let Lee Ann give me a dare.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you know this about me, but before I was in Treasury, I was a ballerina. So I did about 25 years of professional dancing, and I can stand on one leg. I can balance for eternity. I can do multiple things while balancing and brushing my teeth and reading my cell phone. So I would like to see your best interpretation of Swan Lake or any ballet that you are aware of.
Oh my God. So I don't know if anybody wants to see this. I don't know. It's not going to resonate with the podcast, but I'm not.
I think they'll love it because Treasury is a very high energy field.
Okay.
So, every now and then you got to get up and jump or dance.
I might be. Wait, can't see that.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
I might fall down. I could got to move my chair. Go in a circle. I don't know if I can balance for a while.
You could put your hands up, do your fairy wings. I mean, this is beautiful. Oh, you see, I mean, the skill is amazing.
I kind of look like a college mascot trying to
That's right.
do a cheer. I'll do a Lee Ann, L-E, there we go.
Oh,
Go Lee Ann. Very good.
dancing is all about what comes from your heart. It doesn't necessarily have to
Exactly.
be very
Yeah,
good.
my wife was she did ballet for a long time, and like yourself, probably, my wife's pretty tall for that
Oh, yeah?
area, so she kinda got out of it, but I
Grew
never
up. Yeah.
expected that one, so thank you for that, Dare. I know the people that watch the video are gonna like that, so I'll get another nickname, so that's always good.
We need to set it to music and we can do an actual
Yeah, yeah,
show.
we'll do that one. I'm gonna do this in person. So once we do it in person at a conference, we'll incorporate the music into it, and we'll do a ballet, and then somebody else I talked to is an opera singer, so
Oh,
maybe
I
we'll do
love that.
like a little production
Yeah.
here at a
See?
conference. I'm sure they'll all love that.
Yeah, we're gonna
Uh,
use the other side of our brain now, not just
there
the
you go. Yeah,
analytical
that
side.
would be good. Okay, now that we got fun laughing, earning, which is fine, it's awesome. All right, let's get back to Leanne for a few more, and then we'll wrap things up here. Truth or dare?
That is good truth.
Okay, so this is a little dicey one, but that I want you to share with me. What do you see as the differences in terms of what we see for education when you see what we're doing in the US and what we're doing in Europe? Are there any areas that you think the US does a little bit more about this, which I like, but the Europe, like the ACT and Eurofinance, they do different. Can you share with us some of your thoughts on maybe what each does better so we can get those to kind of meld together a little bit more?
Yeah, and I love this because Treasury is so global
Yeah.
and we have to understand how payment systems and Treasury and finance and risk is done in the rest of the world because it impacts all of our global companies. And I believe that the differences with, the US learning and the Europe learning are very much in the focus and the scope of the work, the approach to risk management. That stuck out to me. It was a big highlight. The payment systems and regulations, obviously, because it's different countries. And then the career path and the exam style. And I have done both. I did the CTP in the US when I was about 2 or 3 years into my Treasury career. Then I did the CTP in Canada. And then during COVID is when I did the fellowship, which is a Treasury license for the UK region. And there is, definitely differences in amount of work that you have to do to get your license versus a certification. But also it was the right stage of my career to do a license and a fellowship because I had the experience, I was board ready, and I had the strategic understanding of Treasury to be able to do that. So I would say to begin, the focus and the scope, the US is very practical and operational. It's predominantly US centric,
Yeah.
but it also tailored for Treasury professionals in the, more of an operational area. And then of course it's held by the AFP, which has a Treasury community to train the Treasury folk. And also we have great conferences every year, and that's where I met you, Ernie, so it's obviously a great place. And then the ACT in Europe is much more of a strategic career path. There's much broader focus on strategic financial management, on global markets and risk. And we had to, in order to finalize your license, we had to do a dissertation, which was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my educational experiences. But it was so helpful to what I do in my job to understand the risk that our company is under in the various financial manners that we work, and also understanding the global context of how your banking environment and your global regulations can impact your company's head office in the US. And I would say also from the ACT that it definitely delves into more financial topics than the AFP, and we had to learn a lot about corporate finance, about funding, and the macroeconomic principles that relate to Treasury as well as risk management, like I mentioned earlier. And then, the CTP is a single certification that stands alone, but the ACT has multiple levels of qualification that build on each other. I was qualified enough to just go into the FCT, which is the highest level, and that's for advanced strategic roles. And I would recommend that to anyone who's at my level, who's wanting to be board ready and to have more of a strategic role at the company. And then I would say also the career path, as I mentioned earlier, the CTP is more midway and corporate focused, and the ACT is much more of a broader strategic career. They're both great. They're both a lot of work. It takes a lot to study for it and to pass first time. But the key takeaway for me is that if you're studying for Treasury and you're trying to improve yourself, either certification or qualification is worth your time. Whenever you learn something new, it just makes for a better you, the way you work, and something that you can broadcast to others and help others learn more about as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, the other thing that I see that I'd like to see, which we may explore at another time, probably maybe in a session in person, is how can we get the Treasury people to collaborate across borders? Because the U.S., I see we get very U.S. centric, and then sometimes people, in other countries they look at the U.S. people don't want to collaborate with us, which I think is not really true. But I'd like to see people collaborate across the pond. I'll put it that way. There's a lot of opportunity there that I think we have all been missing out on for a long time.
Yeah, agree. And especially during COVID, I think we got away from a lot of that, networking and collaboration. Yeah. It's time now.
Okay, let's go on next round. How about truth or dare?
Let's go dare.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, this isn't as good as yours asking me to dance, but I'm going to ask you to, now you can probably do anything. You're pretty talented. I couldn't even stop you. What movie is your guilty pleasure?
Oh, I hope that people know this very well about me by now, but I might be introverted, but I am very quick-witted. I have a very dry sense of humor, and I just think humor, just should be in everything that we do. I'm also very sarcastic, and I love British humor. So my absolutely favorite movie that I watch over and over and can recite many lines is An Ideal Husband. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's with Rupert Everett and Minnie Driver, and it's just a very witty and paradoxical movie. And my favorite line from the whole movie is the main character, Rupert Everett. His name is Lord Goring, and he butts head with his father, who's the Earl of Caversham, all the time. And Lord Goring is very funny. His father is very serious. He's in a high position, and Lord Goring does nothing with his life. And so his father is always mad with him because he doesn't have a job. He, doesn't do anything useful in his father's eyes. So the father would say, they were sitting in the steps arguing one morning, and they're all dressed in, their British royalty. And the Earl said to his son, "Why are you always wasting time, sir?" And his son said to him, "Why, father, the purpose of wasting time is not to waste one's own time, but to waste other people's time." And his father just doesn't even know how to respond. He gets so bad and walks away. But I just find it so funny. Like anything sarcastic or just, that kind of British humor is my guilty pleasure.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing that. I just was, some of the beauty of I've already found this is that we find that people that I see as I would not have thought you were introverted. And so it's great when people that are more introverted find a way to be authentic and own who they are and do it in a way that makes them comfortable. So thank you also thank you for all that you do to support our profession. So it's really, really inspiring. So I'm going to let you give me another dare. I don't know if that's a good idea, but I'll let you have one more shot, and then we'll let you do one more truth or dare.
Okay. I want to know from you, what is your most embarrassing moment in your career?
There's so many. I've shared a few already. Every podcast asks me, I got to share this one because this is legendary. This should teach people. So I was at a conference for corporate treasurers, AFPA, Corporate Treasurers Council, the whole country, probably 150 to 200 people. So we were scheduling session tracks. There were 2 tracks. So this one session track I was leading was just like a round table. It put a table out, discussion, issues. And then the session I was up against was a pretty senior person at Microsoft. Oh. So I guess, tell people, guess how many people do you think attended my session? So what's your guess?
100.
No, not my session?
I'm being nice.
No, zero. I got no
Oh,
people. So they started calling me Donut. So that's pretty embarrassing.
that is embarrassing. I'm sorry.
No, hey, see, it worked. Yeah, that was so I've come back. I've come back from that one.
You
And
see,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like,
We all got to start somewhere. We all have that area in our treasury career that helped. It either propels you forward or it puts you in another career. So congrats for stepping up and moving
yeah.
over.
And then I would say just others or just from my tier, these just in general. The first time I was like speaking in front of a board at a smaller company, and I just get up there, and sometimes when you're speaking, no matter how much you do it, the train goes off the tracks. And then people start looking at you, and the board looks at you with this weird look, and then your boss looks at you with this weird look, and you're trying to get it back on the tracks, and it just never happens. And then for me, just trying to deal with that and say, "Oh, no," and realizing that we're all human, and I think that's sometimes
Yeah.
people are afraid to contribute and do things, and it's like everybody is not on point when they're speaking. I tone it to stand up. You ever watch stand up comics, even in person? Sometimes they're just off, and human beings go off, so don't be afraid, just keep on swinging and learn from it, learn how to laugh and brush it off.
And I have to disagree with you here because for me, that's definitely not embarrassing. For me, that is something that is very personal that you've shared that we all deal with. I
Yeah,
don't think there's anybody who likes public speaking. And I think the fact that you share that and you help the rest of us to realize that, for those of us who mess up on a daily basis, that this is just who we are. It's human nature. It's not easy to speak in front of other people. And you just got to do more of it and get up and dust yourself off when it doesn't go that well and learn from it. And I agree with what you said, that's why people don't want to share because they're afraid of being embarrassed. But it's not something to be embarrassed about. It's
right.
something to learn from and to grow from. So I think that's a truth on your end.
Thank you. So, all right, one more round for you. Uh, Truth or dare?
I'll go last day. This is fun.
All right. Oh, last dare. Okay. This one I love. I don't know. I want to see if you do this one because this one's, if you were stranded on a desert island, and I'll make it broad, someone at your company or a treasury peer, who would you choose and why?
For me, at a company, I have to take two people. It has to be someone from IT and someone from legal because I have always been successful at a company if you firstly make friends with IT and legal because you need them for everything. They need to be your best friends at the company. If you want to get anything done in treasury, those are going to be your two best friends. So take them to an island, make sure you have some good food or wine or something to take with them and treat them well because you're definitely going to need them.
See your treasury mind. It just can't. See, my mind is, I'm going to go there and have fun. And not that you won't have fun, but it's like your mind is, how am I going to operate a global treasury operation from a desert island? So I need to, so I love it. I love it.
I got to
So
get a life. That's what it sounds like,
there
actually.
you go. No. So, Lee Ann, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. And I appreciate what you do. And I encourage everyone follow you. And then in closing, for our listeners, please live your treasury truths and dare to be great at everything that you do in your life.
I love it. And mix that with humor. Then you have a great employee.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ernie. Take care.
Thanks for watching the show. I hope you guys liked it. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay tuned and hit the subscribe button for more.